my uncle Bension had started a class in Ladino at the Sephardic Bikur Holim. His brother Isaac, uh, when Bension passed away, kept the class going at the Sephardic Bikur Holim, and he used to get, those are the people from Tekirdad, and he used to get customers from anybody in the city. They didn't care where they came from, and they attended the class. And then when my uncle Isaac passed away, it kind of died, except the rabbi of the Ezer B'Sereth, the Road Synagogue, whose name was um, Cohen Scali. Cohen Scali. He, in fact, he was not from Rhodes at all, but they hired him, and he used to hold a once a week class on something called Me'am Loez, which means people from a strange tongue. And it was in Hebrew, but Ladino and Hebrew characters. So you used to teach that class, and 5 or 6 people would attend that class. And when he left, Aryeh Greenberg also taught Me'am Loez. And then when Aryeh left in 2007, I believe, I picked it up from there, but I decided to use whatever I could find in Ladino, but not from Me'am Loez. I said, I'm going to use Ladino Comunità because I had already been accustomed to looking at it. It was started by Rachel Bortnick, as you know. In 1999, she came from Izmir, Turkey, and she finally wound up in Dallas, Texas. She had married an Ashkenazic Jew. That's how she got the name Bortnick. Her maiden name was Amado, as I recall. And so she had the idea, wouldn't it be nice if people could write letters or articles to each other in Ladino and hear back and forth from each other, if there were some way of doing that? And she started Ladino Comunità as a Yahoo forum. Within the last several months, though, Yahoo has dropped out of it, but Rachel Bortnick has kept it going. But I'll tell you, I still look at Ladino Comunità. The people have changed maybe 100%. Not the same people that have been there all these years, but a new class of people, and they're learning, and many of them know Ladino already, but they're still using it as a means of communication and giving each other links to other Ladino classes or Ladino places where they can hear it or hear songs or hear it spoken. So there is a lot more Ladino being spoken and sung now than when I grew up at all. My gosh. People asked me at one time about the future of Ladino. They asked me 10, 15 years ago. I says, I don't hold out a lot for Ladino because nobody is speaking it anymore. If it weren't for Israel, I think it would die out in a few years. But now I have changed completely, and I believe it's going to continue and to flourish. Of course, I think the center will still be Israel, but there it will be all over the world.
Wow. Yes, I've seen a sort of a revival, as
Re-
we put it,
Revitalization, yes.
yes, of Ladino, and well, the Ladineros it also contribute greatly to the local community. And can you talk a bit about the start of Ladineros?
Start of the Ladineros. So I had maybe 5 or 6 people to start, and we were meeting on 12th Avenue and Yesler Way, which was um, Seattle Curtain Manufacturing Company, owned by uh, Morris Capilouto. And he would set aside one of those rooms and even provide some snacks for us to eat at the same time, and we would hold our meetings there. It wasn't the same people that attended the classes of Aryeh Greenberg, or who was the other one? Rabbi Kwenskali. But a new class of people, like my neighbor, may he rest in peace, Manash Israel, and Maury himself would come in, and occasionally Maury's son Ralph Capilouto would come in. I'm trying to remember all of them, but it turned into a big number of people. I would say, well, big for the room, 12 or 13 or 14 people. Eventually, we moved to the summit, where it has been for the last several years, and we use their library for our meetings. And I have had as many as, I would say, as many as 18, although we were not allowed to go back because of the pandemic, starting the end of February of this year, I believe. So we haven't held any more classes. From time to time, I will call or write to them to find out how they're doing, and they all seem to be doing well. A couple of them have passed on. May they rest in peace. So what I would do for Ladino Comunidad was search through all the Ladino Comunidad articles, and they had maybe 2 or 3 a week. And I found lots and lots and lots of interesting things, and I would copy it from there and massage it and put it into paragraphs of 4 or 5 or 6 lines. And then we would go around the room at the summit or at Maury's office or his other room, and we would each read and translate, and in that way they kept up their Ladino. If they didn't know, they would raise their hand and somebody would answer, yeah, it means this or it means that. Or if I knew, I would say it or look into the 3 dictionaries that I have of Ladino and English.